So I've taken the beaded topper out of the box, the bag, however it comes. It's got a specific part. She is parted on the left, so this hair system, beaded topper, whatever you want to call it, is designed to have an invisible part on that left side. It's a very flexible, comfortable silicone base. I don't know if you want to see it also. Yeah, okay. And we've got it already kind of marked where the anchor points are going to be. These are where I'm going to anchor it to her head. So in the past, some of these different types of systems that were anchored with beads or clips or other methods would be done just around the perimeter. So that's where the bad rumor of clip-ons or different attachments can be damaging. It's not damaging if you add more beads through the middle for more anchor points. The problem with just anchoring around the edges, it just wasn't enough, and that whole middle would be loose. And some of the old-fashioned systems were this type of material or a mesh throughout the whole thing where you couldn't anchor it in the middle. This is designed to pull the client's hair through the middle, through all of these little holes, and anchor it in many different locations. We've brought that invisible part right up to the front edge, so I'm going to go ahead and start putting it on. Watch close. There'll be different opportunities for you to see real close up how the beads are attached. Some of them will be, it'll be difficult to get that because my arms and my back will be in the way as I turn my back to the camera. But throughout the video, we'll do some close-up so you can really see what's going on and how the beads are attached. And everyone is attached the exact same way. It's just in different places. And I'm always trying to pull the hair in the natural fall, natural growing position, except for right here in the front. If I pull it down the way it wants to grow, she'll have hair falling down that way, whether she likes it or not. So I'm going to pull kind of to part it a little bit, so when I anchor those pieces, they'll kind of flare off to the side and out of the way. I will still add some bangs, but you'll see as we get there. Although I will be working from the side and the back most of the time, this very beginning, right at the start, I'm going to have her looking forward. The most important thing is to make sure this part is in the right place. So I'm going to get it in the right place from that front hairline, and then I'm going to attach it on both sides of the part all the way back, and then I'll start to attach the larger side of it and then the perimeter, just to give you a little summary. So I'm going to start by doing this, kind of reaching over and making sure the part falls over her part. Now I can still slide forward or backward, but I just want to make sure that the part is on the part so that when you see through the part up here, it's where she's used to parting her hair also. So then it's kind of up to you. How close to that front hairline do you get? So let's just kind of go about, I'm going to say it's going to be about a finger and a half from her front hairline is kind of what I'm going to go with. And so I think it's right there, but what I'll do is kind of fold it back so I can see what's going on, and then I'm going to clip it into place. And I'm going to attempt to put a couple of beads on that front hairline. And this is where, these are the most difficult beads of the whole process. So when we put those first two beads right there in the front, if they're a little off after we do the rest, we can come back and take them out and put them back in. But one of the things I want to mention is if you push through the very hole on the edge, the bead always is a little further away from where you attach it. So I never use a hole right on the very edge. I'll go back one hole and then go through another. So we're going to go through two holes here. There's a little latch here. I don't know if you guys notice. It opens and closes. I'll always be opening and closing that. I'm going to pinch a little hair, grab a little with the hook, close the latch with my middle finger, and as I start to pull it through here, the holes of the beaded topper hold the latch shut, grab a bead, continue to pull her hair through the bead and the two holes of the topper. Now back here, I'll hold that down with my pinky. Move this back a little bit. I'm going to hold that down with my pinky, open the latch, go through the bead again. And like I said, it's going to be easier to see as we fold this thing back and do it again. Grab a little more hair, close the latch again. We're only through the bead and not the beaded topper this time. So as I go to pull, I put my finger on the bead and pull it through. So now what I have is a double anchor system. I have some hair coming through the beaded topper and some hair coming through just the bead. As I grab this bead, I pull the hair in the position I want it to stay. When I secure the bead, I'll pull this back, give it a good hard squeeze right there, and that's one bead. I'll do that one more time on the other side. There's that silicone part, so I'm going to do one right here, and then we'll fold it over. latch is open, pinch some hair. You don't have to be specific, you just dive down into that pinched group of hair. It'll hook as much hair as it needs. Fold that latch down with your middle finger. The trick here is that this beaded topper needs to stay down while I pull it up to here. The latch gets shut on the beaded topper. That's when I grab a bead, pull it the rest of the way through, secure that hair with my pinky, open the latch, put the hook tool, what do we call this tool? Grab a little bit more. It's not a crochet needle. I know a lot of people like to call that. Close that latch. Look, watch. Put my middle finger on the bead, pull it through. Now I've got hair, I don't know if you can see it here, through the beaded topper and the bead, and then another section of hair just through the bead. So what that does is makes it where the bead can't slip back through the hole of the beaded topper. I grab that bead in the center of the pinching point at the tip of the transformer tool. Pull this hair, remember I said off to the side a little bit, pull this all the way up till I touch the beaded topper. Give it a good hard squeeze, and now those beads are hidden right under the edge when I let this go. So we locked in the 2 beads on either side of the part in the front. We're going to flip that whole hair system forward, the beaded topper, and start working on the larger side from the part. She's a left part, so we're going to work on the right side just after we secure both sides of the part all the way back. Now, before we flip it forward, we're going to use a visor, just any cheap plastic visor. It just makes it a little bit easier, keeps the hair out of their face. They can maybe still text, watch Netflix, YouTube, whatever they do while you're doing their hair. And let's see if we can get this in there without messing up her hair. I might even have her help me a little bit. Is that comfortable?
Yes, sir.
Yes? Okay. There we go. I'm going to turn her all the way around, and we're going to start about right here. And I say about, it's actually pretty precise. On each side of the part, we've got these more reinforced holes. You can use any hole you need to secure it, but we do have some reinforced holes. They're a little bit different color, and we'll probably close up here in a few minutes, but I'm just going to kind of clip it in place and get started. So what I like to do is use a flat, smooth clip. I mean, we have a little bit of grip in here, but not those newer clips that everybody's loving that kind of grabs too much hair, because they don't pull out very well. But these flatter, smoother clips, and there's a lot of different ones out there. I just grabbed a couple out the salon just to hold this still so that it doesn't fall further, just revealing these areas that I need to secure through. I'm going to use this connection tool here. We've already loaded these beads up on both sides of the tool, and I like to use 2 tools because I'm going to use all of one tool and I'm going to go into a second tool just a little bit. Saves me a little bit of time if I've got the beads already loaded. So I like to have 2 completely loaded in the color bead that I'm going to use. In a few weeks when she comes back, I'll have them loaded before she even gets here in the color bead that most closely matches her hair. But it really doesn't matter because they're underneath the beaded topper and barely show. Those 2 on the front edge and around the sides might matter a little more. So if you're running out of a certain color of bead, use the ones that matter the most right on the front hairline and on those front edges. So here we go. I'm going to tilt her this way a little. I'm going to grab this little reinforced hole here, make sure my latch is folded back, poke through 2 holes, pinch some hair a little further out than where I want to be so I can pull the topper that way. Use my middle finger nail to start to fold that latch. And if you'll see the latch, when it gets into the beaded topper, I can let go of this hair and it'll stay in that hook. That's when I grab a bead and pull the hair the rest of the way through. Now this is where I secure that hair with my pinky, open the latch, stick it back through just the bead, not the beaded topper. Pinch a different section of hair right past the last one I did, grab some hair, and this is when I pull that latch shut again. And here's a little trick. Either you can be holding the beaded topper here and let the latch get inside the bead and it'll close it, and then grab the bead. And that's better for camera, for you guys to see what's going on. But a little tip is to just put your finger right on top of the bead and it secures everything. The hair, the bead, the latch. Then I've got all of the hair here. And this is when I decide what angle this needs to be pulled at to secure this bead. Get the bead in the center of the transformer tool, pull it next close up to the beaded topper, and look, I'm not going to be at this angle, I want to be at natural fall or growth pattern, and then give it a good hard squeeze, and that is what's going to hold it on. Let's do it again on the other side. Open the latch, beads are already on here. I got a little reinforced section. I'll go through 1 hole, 2 holes, pinch a section of hair, hook it, close the latch. It's in the integration part of the system. Grab the bead, pull it through, secure with my pinky, open the latch, put it back through, grab another section of hair, and look at that, that latch closed for me, but a little too soon. So I'll grab this bead and pull the hair in the position I think I'd like it to be. Give it a good squeeze. Look, there's a little space in there. That's okay. That gives a little bit of flexibility. There's going to be a whole bunch of beads to secure this, so we don't need to get them right snug up to the beaded topper. But what I am going to do is notice that the next one is here and here. So look, we're going to roll it back to right here. I can barely see the next 2 that I need to secure to. So then I clip it in place and do it again. And again, and again. So I should have mentioned the color that we decided to use. It's a blended color. Oh, look at that. I almost forgot to grab the bead there. Started trying to talk. Opened the latch. We used a blended color. We used a triple color for her to give it more dimension. I think the cut's going to pull it all together. But if you'll notice, there's more than just one color. We started to look at a single solid color on her. And then I just always seem to lean towards the triple colors. I think they look a little more natural, add a little more dimension. And so look, if I'm pulling here and I feel like that clip might be limiting where that lays, I might have to loosen the clip to let this beaded topper lay down right where I want it to be secured. And if for any reason over the next few days she says this one bead right here, right there is hurting me a little bit, it may be that I got it at a bad angle, the wrong angle, too little hair, too much hair. She can always come back in and we can change it. Just keep that open relationship with the client so they don't just say, it hurts, I don't like it, I'm gonna get my husband to take it off and I'm never going back. And then you don't know what happened or what. So make sure you make them feel real comfortable working with you to solve any problems that they feel like they're having. This is important right here. You get that hair right there. Put the pinky on top to kind of hold everything still. Open the latch, stick it right back through the bead. I'm opening this so you can see, but you don't have to. You can just kind of pinch a section of hair like this and go down in there, hook a section of hair, close the latch, and then as you close the latch with that middle finger, put it right on top of the bead and hold it so that you can pull the hair through the bead while you're securing the bead at the same time. It's important to squeeze that bead perpendicular to the way the bead is. You know, the bead is around the hair this way. I don't want to squeeze the bead at a bit of an angle like this or even like this because it puts an S-curve. The tool is designed to have 2 prongs on the bottom, 1 on top, and put an S-curve in that bead to lock the hair in. So I want it to be straight across, and the tool's kind of curved for an ergonomical, comfortable fit. So I get it right in the center of that tool, squeeze here, a soft squeeze at first, make sure this hair is pulled in a position I want it to be in, and when I get it finger combed in that position, see, then I can move this bead right up till it stops right here, give a good hard squeeze, and let go. Now, if you'll notice real close on that bead, I did end up squeezing it on a bit of a diagonal. It's more important to get that line straight across on the bead, and it's a little diagonal. So that is not ideal, and I just want you to notice that since I noticed I just did it a little off, and my goal will be to keep trying to position that tool where the line is directly across the center. The visor really does help a little, huh? Or is it in your eyes?
It's okay.
It had fallen down in her eyes. She's way too nice. Yeah, you can say something and we can reposition that. You notice on this side, it's pretty much my outer edge also. I might come back and look and see if I need to secure that edge a little bit better after, but I'm kind of paying attention to this possibly being that outer edge. And so I want to position these hairs as they start to fall down. They're going to fall down and to the side a little bit more. Sometimes when you push this through the bead, it'll open the latch for you. I thought it was gonna, it didn't, so I ended up having to open it myself just now. We'll grab a little chunk of hair, hook it, close the latch, put my finger over the bead, pull it through, double anchor. Three beads left on this tool, and we'll swap it around and grab them from the other side here in a second. Is it hurting at all? A little bit?
Little.
Okay, I felt you jumping just a little bit here and there, so I just want to see. Any of it continuing to hurt?
No, sir.
No, okay. That's that good karate, Mom. Yes, sir. No, sir. That's how you get your belts, huh? You gotta be.
Right.
So I have one reinforced hole here, so I have a choice to make. I can go out towards that way, this way, this way. I'm seeing as it lays down, I want that hair to kind of fall this way. So I'm going to position the tool in the direction I want the hair to fall. So as I go through the one hole here, I'm going through the hole on this side because I want eventually that hair to it's going to get pulled through this way and then back down and lay the way the hair's laying right here. So I pinch all of this hair in this section here. Go in and hook some hair, close the latch, get it in the beaded topper, grab the bead, pull it through, secure it with my pinky, open the latch, go through the bead, grab another chunk of hair just below the last. The latch closed all by itself. I was lucky that time. So I've got this nice two sections of hair, double anchor points, get the tool on the bead. I think it's being restricted by this a little bit. Pull right up to here, give it a squeeze. That's when she feels it.
Yes.
We're going to get one here, and then we'll get all of these. Actually, you know what I'll probably do while I'm here? We'll probably go ahead and get all of these right across that back section before we fold it over. One bead left on this tool, so we'll just do it right here. Okay, so the secure or more reinforced hole is right here, but I don't really have another hole that's not on the outside edge, so I'm deciding to move over a little bit from it and use these two. Not designed to hold it, but it'll do fine, and that way I can keep the bead a little bit further under the edge of the beaded topper. Not as important back here in the back, there'll be so much hair covering everything, but the more important thing is that this hair is kind of going in the direction that I want it to go, so that when I pinch a section of hair, I'm pinching hair that lives or grows right out of her head right there. Fold that over, get it in the beaded topper, grab the bead, pull it through, anchor it, fold the latch back through the bead, grab another section of hair, close the latch, finger over the bead, pull it all through. You see, I'm saying it faster so you can see it can go faster and faster as you get good at it, but we're kind of going slow here, so you might be able to follow along as you do it if you're using this as a teaching or training video. I'm going to go through 2 holes. No, I'm not, because no more beads. So let's do this. I was going to grab the other end, but I can literally just turn this around, go right in here. And I'm loaded up with some more beads. Now I could have quickly picked up that other tool also if I'd had it open, but I didn't have it open either, so it was just as fast to do it this way. The next reinforced hole is right here. You guys might have saw me jump a little there. I stuck that tool right underneath my fingernail. That didn't feel good. Part of the job. Open the latch. I didn't like the amount of hair it grabbed that time. I want to get a nice section of hair to secure. Close the latch, get the bead, pull it through. 2 decent sized sections of hair to secure there. I'll put this tool right on the bead. Finger comb all this hair in this position. And it does have a little bit of flexibility. That's more for comfort than anything else. So don't expect it to be like a glued down, bonded down system. It's going to have a little bit of flexibility. That's kind of what lends to the comfort of this. And so now we're going to fold this whole system over to the other side and reposition just a little bit. Let's see if I can do it here, because we did that middle section on both sides of the part, which happened to kind of get the edges over here. So now as I fold this over, we kind of reveal the sides. We could probably take the visor off now. It's going to kind of be over one eye. She can still see. And now we have these. As you can still see all the darker reinforced areas. That's kind of our goal. If you find that you have a client that has even thinner hair, and you need to secure more areas, you can use any of the holes you need to. So we're just going to use there's quite a few of those reinforced holes. I think we'll be good with that, but it's a trial kind of thing over the next few weeks. If we find we need to use more or less, we can do that also. So I'm noticing I'm on an edge, so I'm kind of pointing the tool at the direction I want that hair to fall. And again, I'm going to pull the hair in the direction I want it to fall later when I'm going to cut or style. This one, since it's an edge, I'm going to be more in this position. And then some of those are going to be more like a clock. You know, the hair is going to fall more down this way here, more in the back there, a little more to the front here. So I'll start to slightly change that angle as I move around. So we folded it over to her left side. As you can see, we turned that chair, and now we're going to work back and forth on the whatever you want to call the reinforced, anchored, colored. Like I said, you can do it anywhere. And we're just going to, I think it's just one more row here, and then we'll have the outer edge, then we'll cut and style. I'm taking a long time to do this because I'm kind of going slow, wanting to show you all the whole process and everything, but you can literally put this on in about 20 to 30 minutes if you just go through it and there's not a whole lot of talking or explaining going on. So let's get to it. So we finished this row here, and I'm getting ready to do the perimeter. And I noticed right here on the front, if I started to do the perimeter from the back and that whole system shifted a little, I might go past the front hairline here. So to make sure I was within the hairline, I decided to start on the front hairline and do this perimeter from the front to the back. Kind of a judgment call you have to make when you're doing it. Again here, I'm not going to go through this outer hole. I'm going to always stay out of the very last holes around the perimeter because the bead always seems to get secured a little further out than the holes you choose. So if I choose a hole right on the perimeter, then the bead is going to show a little outside the edge, which hair will probably cover and won't be a big deal. But if I want to secure it just a little bit more, it's better to get away from the outer hole, go into the next hole. So you put your connector tool in the second hole and then come out of the third hole from the outer edge. Looks like we have 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe 5 more. I think we completely used one whole tool up so far. Yep, the beads on both sides. Just going to place that to the side. I've got a whole nother one loaded up. Probably only use a few from here, and I'll check around the perimeter just to see, but I'll have more than enough. Don't have to stop to load beads. Ready to go. I think that is the last bead, but we're just going to check all the way around the perimeter, see how it looks. Looks like we're getting the beads in all the way around this perimeter just right. Looks good all the way around. If you weren't happy with this, having a little extra movement, we could put another bead in there. Let me just see. Nope, that's pretty good. They're close together. We'll just keep going. I like the way that's looking. Yep, really good. So now we'll move into a haircutting style. I'm going to put a cape on her, wet the hair down a little bit, and start cutting and styling. So let's start the haircut. A few things you need to know. The comb or even a brush can catch on, look, if you push it in there, it's going to catch and it's not going to go through. So we do what we call a drag instead of a push. We're going to drag the comb over so that we don't catch it. I'm just going to damp a little bit. I like to cut on wet to damp hair. I'm not going to saturate it. I'm just going to wet it a little bit to control some of the frizz and then do some cutting. And because we're doing hair on top of the head as opposed to extensions, you're going to have to explain this to the customers. This is not extensions. Even she today said something about love the length, or I haven't had my hair that long, and I'm like, oh, you're not getting the length, I'm sorry. The length comes from that bottom half of the head. The top half that we added, if I add length, it's just going to kind of look like she has an undercut. She'll have the short hair underneath. So my very first goal is just to cut the perimeter. It's going to look a little rough and bowl cut like right at first. I'll try to blend the front a little bit, but I'm first going to take my bulk sections off by just matching her length and then adding the layers after. So it's going to be kind of quick. The bang situation, she said she hasn't had bangs since 5th grade, so we're not going to add any bangs, but I see the length in here, starts at about her cheekbone, right in this area. So I know I can, from at least right there, start to give her some blended. And it's not cutting a lot. It's going to be deep inside the scissor, barely cutting 2-3 hairs at a time, kind of going down, creating a bit of, I wonder if I can get an angle where you can see this a little bit better. But I'm going to do just a tiny bit, oh, maybe I need to see a little better too, and just a tiny bit of blending going right down that front. And what this does is it's giving some little shorter broken hairs. I say broken. Every hair on the head is growing at a different rate. And so you see what we're doing is we're just making it look a little bit more natural. So it looks like the hair, we've already put a few different lengths in there. And we're going to do that even more with a texturizing pair of shears where we're going to take out just some real fine. This is a pair of 4420s, a taper fine. I'm not even sure if that company's in business anymore, but it was one of the best thinning shears I'd used over the years. It literally takes out so little hair that you can barely see what happened. And so I can go in there and just kind of whittle away and give it some really natural looking ends and edges. But right now, I think if we want no blunt lines, we shouldn't put any in. But I'm going to take small sections like this and see that her hair underneath goes to about right here. So we'll go a little longer than that, and I'll do it kind of with a point cutting situation where we won't go too blunt on those edges. I just kind of go to the same length that she is now for a minute. And then we'll slowly bring it into what she has going on top with some layers. See, I'm up here. Did you see? I kind of caught it a little bit out of habit, and then I realized as soon as I caught it to let the comb turn over and drag. It's already starting to blend a little bit better. I guess we could go with a bit of a bob if you wanted to, but I'd like to see a little more fullness up top. And truth is, I didn't even ask yet because the first thing I want to do is do what I know we have to do. We have to get rid of any hair that is longer than hers right now or it just won't look right. Now on the top, we can change the haircut. That can be longer. That can go longer and almost look kind of like a bob and just be flat and smooth. But I thought we'd do layers because she had layers. But let's get through this bottom part and then we'll talk to her again about it. But at least now she knows to think about it. And the neat thing about this is she can wear this bob for a few days and then go for layers. But she did already say it's comfortable, but it's a little heavy. It's more hair. It's going to be a little hotter. It's going to be a little heavier. And we're doing this in the middle of the summer, so it's really going to be hotter. So here we've got where we can see her hair through it. And that's why I like to wet it a little bit so you can kind of see I'm going right to the edges of her hair. It's a little easier in the back because I can see what's going on and just getting it here. When I pick it up later here and do some layering, if we do, it'll blend in a little bit better. But right now, I just want to make sure nothing sticks out much longer than her hair. Since it's easy to see here, we'll just go with it. And since the part is on her left side, most of the hair goes over there. It was a little harder to see through over there. I can see through just a little bit better here. Let's see if I can turn this so you guys can see also. And you can kind of see where her hair is in here and stops about right here. I didn't cut her hair before, so I didn't choose the shorter on the sides, but I'm got to go with it for now. She can slowly let that grow out and change it. But for right now, since we did cheekbone down on that other side, we're going to kind of do that same thing here before I totally attack that length, just to give her that little bit of face framing, more natural look. Look how little is coming out here. Just barely hitting a couple of little hairs just to soften it up around her hairline, her face. I'm past where the length's going to get cut off, so it doesn't matter how much I do now. That was just kind of for presentation there a little bit, because this is where it needs to come off. Now, I'm going to show you a little trick right here in this front little edge there. We're trying to hide that, so we might even zoom in a little bit on it and just say we're going to take out just a few little hairs with a texturizing shear, just to make it look like maybe little baby hairs. She already has some little short baby hairs there, but if I just cut a few with a thinning shear, just a few short ones here, it's going to help make it blend a little bit in that front hairline. And so it'll blur the edges. Some little short hairs will fall out there, but it won't be bangs. It won't be those 5th grade bangs that she had, but it'll just be baby hairs to kind of blur the line where the two come together here in the front. So then as we split it, it starts to blend a little bit better, even though we got it all over her face too. I'm going to look a little more specific at these edges now, and just any really long pieces, just cut them off to start off with, in case we decide to leave it a little bit longer. But at least the point cutting gave us a bunch of blending to start with. So now we've got the perimeter cut. So let's put do we have a little, you know what I'm gonna do? Put a little bit of a product that's gonna soften a little bit. All right, so here we have a little blast from the past, right? Some foam. Hardly any of you guys use foam anymore. Since it's not part of this company's products, I'm not gonna say what it is, but this is, for you guys that know your ingredients, I think it's a 95% conditioner and 5% sculpting lotion. I think that's what I learned when I went through this class one time. So if you happen to be seeing this on any of these social media channels, and you could comment or say, what product do you think this is? So as I'm pulling this hair up into a section above her head, I'm pulling on the beads a little bit too. How does it feel on you?
Oh, it's not bad.
It's not bad, huh?
The initial locking it in was...
Is where you felt it?
Yes.
So I've got a bit of a design line, guideline from my outer perimeter now that I don't want to go any shorter than. So as I'm pulling it up here, lost everything. As I'm pulling it up here, I'm trying to be gentle and not pulling those beads too much. So still a lot of dragging, trying to get the tangles out as I come up. And I'm going to do most of this cut with the texturizing shears so that I have some really blended lines on the ends. And I'm going to show you that here in a second. As I'm coming up, getting these tangles out, I get up here. I just want to put some movement in there. Where should I cut? Let's see. We've got from the edge of this hair system. I'll grab a little cheater section goes to here. If I pull it up, if I cut here, I won't be taking any length off the edge. And then I can do that same thing on the other side and just see if I take a little section of hair from that very bottom edge. It goes all the way to that length, pull it up. It's a little longer, so I'm gonna come out a little bit further. Actually, I'm gonna come this way a little bit to preserve that. So I'm still gonna pull it straight up on top of the head. I'm just gonna come a little more over this way. So now from here, that very bottom edge of the beaded topper, I pull a section of hair up, lost it, pull that section of hair up, right there. I won't lose any length. If I do that on this other side, that's the length just about there, so I'll just drag out a tiny bit, and I'm going to take out all of this. And look, this will be a little safer to get it at a few different lengths and just keep on cutting it with the texturizing scissors. You see that? We could cut those last, let's just stick with it. So what we did was we ended up keeping a real blended edge there. And I mean, if I wanted to make it a little more blunt, I can, but what this is going to do is make it just so much more real looking on the ends, and I don't have to go back and texturize it later. So we'll use that as a guide now, but we'll still continue to check everything else. You don't have to look down. We'll still continue to check, again, those edges, because that was our bit of a guide. We don't want to go shorter than that, cutting up at the top with the layers. I'm really a proponent of simplicity. If you can find simplicity in the cut, get it all done in one area. And I think this is going to be just basically 2 sections, that front half and now the back half, all at one time. I'm going to get all of our layers cut in. And then by using texturizing scissors, I've got the length and the texture put in all at the same time. A little extra chopping, chop, 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 chop. Sometimes that makes a customer nervous, but I think the confidence helps get them over it. And you know what, guys? Sometimes when I'm doing a haircut, I'm explaining to the customer what I'm doing. They almost like you're teaching, give you practice for teaching, but they sometimes want to know what's going on or act like they care. So let's get it all up here. We went a little to this side. Got most of the tangles out. I probably have this as a guide. Yep, look, it's a little longer here. I'll grab a little hair from the edge here. That is her, not her hair, the beaded topper hair. That's the length. We come up here, it's right there, right? And I can see some of the hairs we've already cut are working in there, but let's double check here. Grab a little edge of the beaded topper hair. That's the length. We pull it up to here. There it is. So I know that I'm safe to cut all of this hair off, even if it was with scissors. Maybe I would go, or shears, go a little bit longer. But I see that I can be safer by going a little bit longer and giving a bunch of different lengths. A little stage flare, huh? I literally do have to get the hair out of there, and I usually bang it on the back of my comb, and if you do it on the front, you'll knock teeth out of your comb. I've done that a few times. So bang it on the back. But I was going through a haircut with my son the other day, and he says, watch, Dad, all you really have to do is that. So I'm like, okay, so still learning from the kids. There we go. I think we've got it all trimmed. We're going to add some products and style now, and we might do some fine tuning cutting at the end, but we'll see. I'm going to have another stylist help me with the styling. We're going to add some products, and we'll see you really soon with that. And we're done.
Yay.
We did some styling. Do you like it?
Yes.
Yes, yes. More hair than you've ever had.
Yes.
Yeah,
Or at least in the last 10 years.
Okay. And listen, guys, it's completely normal for a client to think it's too thick. I mean, we put more hair on their head. They're not used to it. And sometimes you have to help them understand if it actually looks normal. This is a normal head of hair. It's okay to feel like your hair looks a little too thick. Get around some people you know or like, ask their honest opinion. Even some of them might say it looks a little thick. It sometimes takes an hour or two, day or two to get used to seeing. And we can always thin it some. We can cut it a little shorter. We can change the style. I mean, there's a lot of things we can do. But it's just part of the process. We put hair on their head. They look at themselves. They freak out a little. And you got to kind of coach them through it. Tell them you'll style it a couple of times that first week for free if they need to just kind of get over the hump. But let me let you see it all the way around. I'm gonna kind of get out of the view for just a minute and just kind of turn her all the way around so we can see the sides, the back. I sent her downstairs into the salon while we were shooting another video, had one of my assistants kind of curl her hair and style it a little bit. She'll probably want to wet it herself within the next few days. There's no waiting. She doesn't have to wait for anything. There's no glues or adhesives to dry or cure or set. She can go home and wash it right away if she wants. Now, it's a lot of extra hair, so she's going to have to do some things different. Don't sleep with wet hair because it's going to tangle a little easier. The extra weight of water is going to pull on the beads more while you're sleeping and doing things unconsciously, like just rolling around in the bed. So it's better to have dry hair. It's going to be a little more gentle on your hair. If it were longer, I'd say put it in a ponytail while you sleep. It wouldn't hurt to put this kind of in a ponytail to control it while you're sleeping. When you shower, it's more hair again that's pulling on very few of your hairs overall. So when you shower, you're not going to want to get upside down in the shower and just lather up your whole head and pull on those few anchor points. You're going to want to let that water hit the top of your head because the top of your head is supporting the weight of this beaded topper, and the anchor points are just to keep it from sliding around. Okay. So getting it completely dry before you go to bed. Don't need to shampoo as often as usual because each hair that's coming out of this beaded topper is not connected to your scalp. So there's no sweat or oil gland, so it will be a little drier, but those sweat and oil glands are generally what do good and bad. They lubricate our hair a little. They can make us smell a little also because the toxins come out of our body with that. But it also makes the dust and the air stick to your hair. So that's what makes hair look and feel a little dirty. This hair is not going to feel or get dirty as easy. It will feel a little drier though. So you might want to supplement that with some detangling spray to add some moisture or some detangling to the hair. And then you'll find that if you're shampooing every day, you could probably go to every second or third day now. Some people shampoo once a week and it's fine. You'll find that the little bit of dirt or oil or greasy feeling you might have felt on your own hair, this hair is going to grab from and absorb it. So your hair will not feel as oily as it did before because this hair, the new hair on there doesn't have its own oil gland, so it'll absorb some of that. So even just brushing through it will help distribute that a little bit. So there's going to be some things that are just a little bit different. When you shower, just make sure you don't look up at the shower head and brush all your hair back and put all that weight on those front beads. Okay. And if any beads come loose or feel funny or anything, just call me and let's take a look at it and swing by. Luckily, you're local. Yes. Any questions?
I guess just like the styling stuff, like can I use all the regular stuff? Should I use different stuff?
100% human hair.
Okay.
Now the only thing that makes it different than some people's human hair is that it doesn't have the oil and sweat gland, but it's also definitely processed hair.
Right.
I mean, it's chemically treated, whereas most people's hair is color treated or highlighted these days, so most people know what to use. But for those few that are coming in with virgin hair and they're using normal shampoo, you're going to want to use moisture shampoo or shampoo for color treated hair or chemically treated hair. So you just want to veer on the drier type of products for drier hair because it's going to be a little bit drier than your actual hair.
Okay.
But for the most part, yeah, all the same products that you would use for 100% human hair, like your hair.
All right.
If you go swimming in the chlorine or salt water,
yes.
Yeah, so you can, you can. It's just that the water is that chlorinated water is gonna soak up into your hair really quickly. And so let me just look at the camera for a minute while we talk about that. So let's talk about chlorine for just a minute. If chlorinated water, which basically is bleach, gets right into her hair, it's gonna start to dry her hair out, start to bleach a little bit, make it feel drier, make it tangle more. So we do a few things to try to, I guess, alleviate or warn against it kind of quickly by at least wetting her hair. If there's a shower on the beach, get in that shower and water. Worst case scenario, pour a couple of water bottles over your hair and wet your hair. That way your hair as a sponge will grab all that clean water. Then when you get in the chlorinated or salt water, it's at least wet and it'll repel a lot of the chemicals or salt that's in the water. Now, next step would be if you, these days it's really great that the sunblocks come in spray cans. Spray it in your hair also.
Okay.
And so that'll help the UV rays not damage the hair anymore. But those UV rays are helping accelerate the chlorinated system in your hair. It's almost like going to the salon, getting bleach in your hair, and then sitting under a dryer, and then leaving it in forever because you never rinse it out. So that's the reason why we want to rinse out at the end. So at least water, conditioning or detangling spray would help. The UV spray protectant, all of that in the beginning. And then when you get out of the pool or the beach, you want to try to rinse as soon as you can.
Okay.
Even again, if it's just water bottles, to rinse that chlorine or that salt out. But usually there's a public shower around that you can get under and just kind of rinse everything out. And the sooner it's dry, the better. Just don't let that chlorine or salt bake in the sun in your hair for hours and hours until you get to the hotel room and you're a completely different color. You want your skin a different color. I know, that's the whole reason we're in the sun, but not the hair. We don't want to dry it out and damage it. So yeah, so protect it in the beginning and rinse it out at the end, and that'll go a long way to protecting your hair.
All right.
Well, if you guys have any questions, put them in the comments below. I'd like to know what you think about all of this, and we can talk about prices, where the classes are to get it done. Maybe some of you guys want to fly in and get it done by us. Totally up to you. But we stay very active in our comments, and we like to answer all the questions. So ask them, and we'll answer them. Thank you, guys.